Okay, now we're on the bottom of page 49 to look at meters. So when we're looking at meters, we have to first of all figure out what the markings mean. So the range is asking, what's the distance between the very beginning and the very end? So in this first voltmeter, the range here would be from 2 to 0, or 0 to 2, which would be 2, and it's measured in volts, 2 volts. The main divisions are the main markings that we see. And here we see a 1 marking and a 2 marking. So the main divisions would be 1 volt each. Okay. For this one down here, the amperes, the range would go from 0 to 25. So we'd have 25 amps. In the main divisions, it's marked every 5. So it would be 5 amps. So now let's look at the smallest division. The smallest divisions are how many little markings we see. So between 0 and 1, you can see 9 markings, or it's divided into 10 spaces. So if you take 1 and you divide by the 10 spaces, you get 0.1. So the smallest division here is 0.1 volts. If you look here between 0 and 5, you see 5 spaces. And so 5 divided by 5 tells you that the smallest division is 1 amp. So let's look here. We want to find the measurement of the letters I'm asking for. And we may need to estimate if it's not exactly on. So we look at this. The first one is a gauge. It's miles per hour. If we want to find B, you can see B is between the 20 and the 25, the 20 and the 30, right at 25. So B is 25 miles per hour. So let's look at D. So that little mark would be 75. We know it's a little bit bigger than that. So we could call it 77, 78, somewhere in there. And any place close to that will be accepted as correct. So over here on this next meter, it's an amp meter. We're going to look for A and C. It tells us here in the directions. So we talked about this meter before. Each marking is 1. So A is at the second mark, so that's 2 amps. So C is after the 15, but not quite to the 16. So we'd call it maybe 15.8 or 15.7, 15.9, anywhere in there that's close. Don't call it 16 because it's not really at 16. Okay, part C, we're going to look for B on the voltmeter. So first thing we have to recognize is this is from here to here is 1, and there's 10 spaces in between. So it's that same idea of 1 divided by 10 is 0.1. So this tells us it's 0.5. The next line would be 1.1 more, 0.6. So B would be at 0.7 volts. And then finally we want to find D on the Psi meter. So here we can see between 450 and 500 there's 5 spaces. That's a gap of 50, right? So if we take 50 and we divide by 5, we can tell each space represents 10. So D is 1 space after the 450, so that would be 460 psi. So when you're reading meters, you need to pay really careful attention to what the lines represent and what the meter is measured in.